the Guardian Academy. We are going to move on to the core concepts. Okay, now what you're going to see is these slides look a little bit different. The foundational and the core concepts, most of the free stuff coming out is going to have this logo in the corner. That's just to help you orient a little bit. So if you see this bronze Guardian or the silver Guardian or this golden Guardian, you kind of know where to place it, right? Like this is probably an advanced training and it requires building blocks to understand. Whereas if you see this logo right here, that means it's out there for free. And again, you can place it appropriately. This is the core concept number 1 video. This is not gated in any way. It's just to introduce what's coming next. Core concept number 1 is bumpers. Now, for those of you that know, you're probably chuckling because this is kind of a shameless plug for my book, Bumpers, but we're actually pulling the concepts out of bumpers and applying them to investing, building a business, whatever you're doing to try to fund your core capital and get your definition of wealth. And the core concept from bumpers is that we fail to appreciate when bad things don't happen. All right, we spend a lot of time digging ourselves out of a hole because we never appreciated not getting into the hole in the first place. Another way to think about it is before pushing harder on the gas, before trying to make more money faster or build things faster, let's remove the limits. Take your foot off the brake. So you're going to hear, learn to appreciate when bad things don't happen. And you're going to hear, take your foot off the brake. It's also been said, stop watering the weeds, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this particular training is just to frame up the next 4 videos that will show you how to do this. All right, so where are the brakes? You say take your foot off the brake. Well, we got to identify them in order to remove that limit. The first, especially when it comes to investing or building something involving like a financial aspect, is working with intractable problems. These are problems that cannot be solved for. For example, what do you want? I want more. Okay, more cannot be solved for. Right? Life, all the things in our life it's a multivariable equation. So if you say x times y equals 20, what is the answer for x? Well, there's multiple answers. Right? And every time x changes, then y changes because the variables have not been defined. These are intractable problems. These are problems that there is no right answer. They cannot be solved for. So we may ask, what are you solving for? Just to make sure that we have what we call a solvable problem, a problem that is not intractable. So reason number 1 people fail is they're changing all these variables. None of the variables are set in stone, and they therefore have an intractable problem. It can't actually be solved for. They're banking on luck. We want to remove all of that uncertainty and turn it into a problem that we can solve for. Talk about that shortly. Second reason is they have strategies, behaviors, tactics that are diametrically opposed to espoused beliefs. We call that stop watering the weeds. So you say, I don't want weeds anymore, but then you wake up every morning and you water them. That is a behavior that's diametrically opposed to what you say that you want. You say you want to spend more time with your kids, but you behave in a way, you keep saying yes to things that cause you to spend less time with your kids. Now, you can't win if you are running a race against yourself with your behavior. So we need to align our strategies with our espoused beliefs. Sometimes that means we need to be more honest about what we actually want. We need to change the words. Sometimes that means we need to change the behavior. But as long as there's this opposition between what you say you're optimizing for and how you're actually acting, you're going to blow yourself up. Okay? Maximizing before optimizing. This is a resource allocation thing. That means trying to fund too many things at once, where if you took all of that effort and you directed it to one thing, you would be able to accomplish that one thing, and accomplishing that one thing would free up the resources to do the other things. And so far too often we're trying to accomplish everything at the same time instead of sequencing it out and prioritizing in a way that gives us a much higher probability of accomplishing these things. And so a lot of times, again, trying to have everything all done right now makes it impossible to get anything done because your resources are spread so thin. operating from a best case versus a base case frame. Okay? So the best case is assuming that you will be at your absolute best and everything will go right all the time. People plan and strategize like this all the time. Time optimism is a good example. When you write in your calendar and you fill up every minute, and you're like, okay, this will work. Well, if anything unexpected happens during that day, it breaks the whole plan. Okay, that's a best case. What can possibly be achieved if everything goes right? We need to work from a base case. What is the most probable thing that I can maintain or sustain? So when we work from a base case, we're working from a rolling average over time. Some days might be a little bit worse, some days might be a little bit better, but on average, this is what we can expect. Okay? So your maximum achievability is not your maximum maintainability. We're referring to operating from a base case. What is maintainable? What does the data suggest is maintainable and reasonable? Not what is a best case scenario. Because if you build your strategy as a best case scenario, you will almost certainly lose. We do not live in a vacuum and things never go exactly as expected. Okay, so those are the 4 biggest reasons people aren't getting what they want out of life. And the next 4 videos are mapped directly to addressing these problems. The first is the solvable problem by Certainty U by Dan Nicholson. He's been working on the solvable problem for like 10 years now. It's a brilliant framework. We use it. We're turning your goals into something that can be solved for. Okay? It's really important. So then it informs our behavior. The foundations of a macro belief and developing a base case. What this does, the macro belief aligns our behaviors and our beliefs so that we are no longer in opposition with ourselves. And developing a base case personal to us gives us a reasonable expectation and a baseline to plan from instead of an imaginary euphoria best case scenario. Okay? And optimize before you maximize, which is going to address the resource allocation. You have X amount of resources, time, effort, energy, and you have this much. No judgment. You have this much. I have this much. This person over there has that much. It is what it is. We need to explore the ways that we could think about how to properly allocate those resources to give us the highest probability that we get what we want. Okay, so I'm just going to review really quick. Intractable problems, we need to turn those into solvable problems. Strategies diametrically opposed to espoused beliefs, we need to get really clear on both how we are behaving and how it relates to our macro belief, the overarching belief that we have about the world and ourselves. We need to optimize before we maximize. Okay, we got to invert this so that we're properly allocating resources and work from a base case. Okay, not the best case, a base case. This keeps us in a good position as often as possible. And that'll be the next 4 videos. You can opt in to get them. There'll be a link below this video. You just opt in the foundational training. It'll send you a syllabus and you will get these videos. Plus you'll get notified when new ones are being created in the very short order. Maybe by the time you see this video, they will be in the members area where you can access them for free. But again, if you want to get everything faster, organized in a syllabus, you could just opt in, email below if you don't want to give your email because you're all about the DeFi world. Totally cool. It'll be available shortly. As per usual, live to learn, give to earn. Find the 6-word update and share your 6-word update and then go back and read others. It is a really valuable part of this double loop learning. It helps you process what you're learning, helps you distill it down, and then gain perspective from others. So I do recommend that you continue to share your 6-word updates as stuff comes up. And we'll see you on the next core concept video, which will be the solvable problem.